The millionaire CEO reveals herself after the beggar man pays for her coffee when card failed. Emily Carter had it all, or at least that's what everyone thought. The sharpest CEO in London, a titan of industry, ruling her world of finance with an iron fist. With her tailored suits and icy composure, she was supposed to be untouchable. Yet on that rainy morning, as the clouds wept over the quaint cafe on the corner of Oxford Street, Emily's empire felt like a fragile illusion. The cafe was a charming little spot with fairy lights draped across the windows and the scent of freshly baked pastries filling the air. Soft jazz played in the background, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in Emily's mind. Today, she had an important meeting with potential investors and needed to project confidence, or so she thought. She ordered her usual black coffee, feeling every bit the queen she was. But when she slid her card across the counter, the world tilted. The clerk's polite smile faded into an expression of confusion. "I'm sorry, ma'am. It seems your card has been declined." A wave of heat washed over her. Her heart raced, cheeks burning. Stunned, she glanced around the cafe. Eyes turned toward her, whispering judgments dancing in the air. Her carefully constructed facade cracked, revealing a moment of vulnerability. She was a millionaire. A titan. How could this happen? Just as embarrassment consumed her, a figure emerged from the shadows of the cafe's rustic decor. Jack, a beggar with scruffy hair and a weathered coat, stepped forward. His kind brown eyes held a depth she hadn't expected. "Here, let me help," he offered softly, pulling out crumpled cash from his pocket. Time slowed. Did a beggar just pay for her coffee? The room fell silent, disbelief painting every face. She accepted the gesture, stunned. A simple act of kindness, yet it shattered her carefully built walls. A lump formed in her throat. The hustle of the cafe around them faded to a whisper. "Why would you do that?" Emily found herself asking. The walls of her controlled life trembled at that moment. Jack shrugged, a half-smile breaking through his rugged appearance. "Sometimes we just need a little connection." They sat together, sharing that small table. Suddenly, in the midst of her corporate battles, Emily felt a flicker of warmth, understanding perhaps. As they conversed, Jack revealed pieces of his life. Losses, regrets, the sharp turns fate had taken him on. Her heart tightened with every revelation he shared. It reminded her of her own lonely journey since her mother's death. But then that feeling of comfort swiftly turned sour. Emily's corporate rival, always lurking in the shadows, would surely sense this weakness. The idea that someone could exploit this moment left her spinning. What would happen if they found out? Would they tear apart her reputation in an instant? Panic flickered in Jack's eyes as his own ghost surfaced, threatening to push them apart. "You don't want to be seen with someone like me," he said quietly, regret etched on his face. As the buzzing of the cafe returned to life, an anonymous tip-off dropped like a bombshell onto a journalist's desk. Emily's life teetered on the edge. Protect her carefully crafted image, or embrace the fragile humanity that drew her to Jack? Jack looked at the ground, fear gripping him as he considered what might come next. Both of them standing on a precipice of decisions that would change everything. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button down there to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming your way. And since you're here, leave That powerful. Like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every incredible person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. As Emily sat across from Jack, the world felt like it was shrinking, with just the two of them in that bustling cafe. Her mind raced, weaving through thoughts of investors and reputation, the weight of her status pressing hard against her chest. Jack's friendly smile brought a flicker of warmth. But just as their connection began to deepen, the door swung open violently, spilling cold air and chaos into the cozy room. Two men entered, faces tense, eyes scanning the cafe. Emily tensed, instinctively drawing back. Their presence felt like a storm cloud looming over her fragile moment. The hushed whispers in the cafe grew louder, a palpable anxiety creeping through the crowd. Jack's expression shifted from warmth to worry, his eyes darting to the doorway. "Look, mate, just let it go," one man said, his voice low but sharp, clearly aimed at the other. "No way," the second man shot back, a fire dancing in his eyes. "I don't care if he's a nobody. He's not getting away with it." Emily's heart raced. What were they talking about? The air felt charged, thick with expectation and something darker. Whispers floated on the air, murmuring judgments and curiosity from other patrons. She sensed their eyes on her, judging and curious. A palpable mix of fear and intrigue twisted inside her. "Jack, what's happening?" she whispered, her throat dry. Before he could answer, one of the men moved toward Jack, words dripping with disdain. "You owe my brother money, you know that?" His voice was loud, enough to slice through the murmurs and hit Emily like a brick. Jack's face blanched. I didn't." The first man stepped closer, his glare hardening. "You think you can just crawl back into your gutter? You think people won't notice when you owe what you can't pay?" Each word was a blow. Emily could see Jack's hands trembling, the fear etched deep into his features. Everything began to collapse around her. Her carefully woven walls, her connection with Jack, her world of certainty. "What are you talking about?" she interjected, standing up, her voice cutting through the tension. "Leave him alone." As the words came out, the whole cafe turned to her, disbelief hanging thick in the air. The men froze, taken aback. Emily's heart thudded loudly. She hardly recognized her own defiance. But the moment shattered with a loud, resounding crash. A tray slipped from a waitress's hand, shattering against the floor. Gasps echoed. Emily's eyes darted to the chaos around her, her entire being aflame with urgency. In that moment, the second man suddenly turned, eyes blazing. "You don't get to play the hero, not without knowing the truth," he shouted, his voice rising above the clatter. "What truth?" Emily demanded, her heart racing, needing to know. The man stepped closer, pointing a finger at Jack. "You're sitting with a con artist. He's not who you think he is." The room fell into a suffocating silence. Everything inside Emily screamed for clarity. The weight of fear settled. Her heart now felt heavy, an unbearable ache swelling within. Jack's eyes flickered with something unspoken, a pleading mixed with fear, revealing layers she hadn't seen before. The whispers around the cafe morphed into a torrent of speculation. Is he really a con artist? Can he be trusted? The look on Jack's face twisted her stomach into knots. Suddenly, her world spun. This wasn't just about a failed card or a simple act of kindness anymore. Everything felt upside down, a shimmering mirage dissolving before her eyes. But then, with trembling hands, Jack leaned in, his eyes fierce. "Emily, you need to know. that sometimes the hardest truth is the one you never expected. The air hung thick, each breath an eternity, and Emily braced herself for whatever revelation was coming, her chest tightening with anticipation and dread. What truth was he about to reveal? Whom could she trust? Emily's heart raced, caught between fear and resolve. Jack's words echoed in her mind. She imagined what he'd reveal. But then, the tension snapped like a brittle twig. Suddenly, the second man took a step closer, eyes narrowing. "This man isn't just a nobody," he spat, a sneer twisting his lips. "He's a con artist, like I said. Just wait and see." The air thickened. Emily shot an anxious glance at Jack. His expression twisted slightly, a mixture of hurt and defiance. "That's not true," he said quietly, but there was a tremor in his voice. "I'm no con artist. Prove it then." The shout rang through the cafe, and the front door swung open again, the cold wind rushing in, scattering napkins and adding to the chaos. The room felt alive, an electric current pulsating under everyone's skin. Jack's face darkened. "You want the truth?" he asked, his voice low but intense, drawing Emily closer. "Fine. The truth is, I used to work at your investment firm." Gasps erupted. Emily's heart dropped. "What, you—" "I was an analyst, a damn good one." His eyes blazed, filled with a fire she hadn't seen before. "But I got into trouble. I messed up. Lost everything, my career, my family, all of it." The words hung in the air, heavy with regret. Her mind spiraled. She felt the sting of betrayal. How could he be part of her world? Was any of this real? The men moved in closer, like wolves closing in on prey. "You think we'd let him just disappear into obscurity?" the first man said, his voice dripping with malice. Emily's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean?" "Jack here is a thief, and he knew the game. You think he's innocent?" The second man's voice cut through her confusion, sharp as glass. "He worked for you, and now he's gone underground. It's time he faced the music." Jack looked on the verge of breaking. "You don't understand. I didn't choose to be this way." His hands gripped the table, knuckles white with tension. "I tried to make it right." Murmurs rippled through the cafe, patrons whispering, judging, curiosity curling around like smoke. Emily felt the weight of their eyes. How had everything unraveled so quickly? She wanted to scream for clarity, for some kind of truth that made sense. But the truth was tangled like a spider's web, intricate and impossible to untangle. Then the first man leaned in, the smell of cigarettes wafting over. "You protect him, millionaire?" he taunted, pointing directly at her. "How brave! You think he's some kind of victim? You're just as guilty if you stick by him." Emily's heart hammered painfully against her ribs. She saw the fear in Jack's eyes, and something shifted inside her. "Stop!" she yelled, her voice slicing through the tension. "You don't know me or him." But just as she spoke, the door swung open again, this time with greater force. A heavy figure entered, dark and imposing. The cafe went silent, the previous commotion swallowed by a presence that felt thick and menacing. "Jack!" the newcomer shouted, his voice booming. "It's time to end this!" Beneath the weight of his words, every eye turned toward the new arrival. Jack's face paled, recognition etching deep lines on his brow. Panic surged in Emily's chest. Who was this man? In that instant, worlds collided. The truth about Jack, the nature of her feelings for him, the stakes of her public image, all reeled in her mind. Had she been blind to the secrets lurking beneath the surface? Jack's eyes met hers, pleading and fearful. "Emily, you don't understand who these people are." But the stranger came closer, and Emily could see a glimmer of betrayal in Jack's expression, revealing the cracks in the facade. It felt as if the ground beneath her was dissolving, a chasm opening wide, threatening to swallow everything whole. "Your past always comes back," whispered the heavy figure, a smirk creeping onto his face. "And this is just the beginning." The cafe felt small and suffocating. Emily's world blurred into chaos, echoing the deep, unsettling truth she was only starting to grasp. The questions raced through her mind, punctuated by her racing heart. What had she stepped into? Was Jack really a victim, or was he the con artist everyone claimed he was? The cafe felt like a trapped animal. Tension wrapped around them, all eyes probing, judging. Emily stared at Jack, heart hammering like wild horses. "What do you mean you used to work for me?" The truth felt almost like a heavy punch to her gut. Jack's expression swirled with a mix of anger and fear, and her breath quickened with the pounding in her chest. But before he could answer, the looming figure stepped forward, a dark smile stealing across his face. "You really had no idea, did you?" he taunted, savoring her confusion. "Jack's not just a washed-up analyst. He's a traitor." The word hit Emily like a splash of cold water. She felt the chill seep through her skin. Jack opened his mouth, his eyes wide with urgency, but the stranglehold of fear gripped him. "That's enough," Jack finally said, voice low but full of fire. But the imposing man moved dangerously close, and the air buzzed with nervous energy. "Gonna defend your buddy?" he sneered. "You think there's honor among thieves?" His laughter cracked. Emily's jaw tightened. She couldn't take her eyes off Jack. His face twisted, caught in a painful web of past mistakes, while still trying to hold her gaze. "Enough, all of you!" She stood up, her pulse racing, the crowd's eyes bouncing back and forth like a pendulum. What does this guy want? The truth felt like it was dangling just out of reach. But before anyone could answer, the heavy figure leaned in closer, eyes glinting with a cruel sheen. "You really want to know?" And then, without warning, he pulled something from his pocket. The sound of metal clinking sent a jolt through the cafe. "Here's the truth, Emily." He dropped a worn-out ID card onto the table, and the cafe fell silent, all eyes darting to it. Emily stepped closer, her heart plummeting as her eyes scanned the name. Jack's name. But under it, a name she had never expected to see. "Marcus Long," she whispered, voice trembling, wishing it were just a bad joke. The embezzler? She felt the room spin. Jack stumbled back, horror slamming across his face. "Emily, I can explain." But Emily stood frozen, heart racing, each breath a struggle. The whisper swelled again, a rush of disbelief and judgment filling the air. Was everything she knew unraveling, like a poorly knit stitch? "He was one of your top analysts, then vanished into thin air when the money went missing," the heavy man continued, his grin widening. "Ran off with $500,000, didn't he?" Emily's throat felt dry, words caught in a web of betrayal. She couldn't breathe. Glancing at Jack, his face was pale, eyes darting in fear and desperation. "Jack, please," she finally managed, voice barely above a whisper. "Is this true?" "I swear, Emily, I was framed," he pleaded. But the weight of the accusation felt like a boulder sinking in her chest. "I tried to fix things. I went to the police." "Your police report turned up nothing. You're just a running con," the heavy guy spat. "And now? Now you've managed to fool her too." The cafe buzzed with disbelief and judgment. Emily's stomach twisted. She could feel the last remnants of her trust unraveling. Her heart clashed against the walls of her ribs, caught in a storm of confusion and anger. As she took a step back, the ground beneath her shifted again. The exit swung open, the bell jingling wildly, and a new figure stepped inside. A woman. Her eyes swept the cafe, locking onto Jack, rage twisting her features. "Where is he?" she shouted, voice shrill. "He owes me." Jack's face drained of color, his hands shaking. "Don't." But before he could finish, the woman lunged forward. "You think you can just run away? You think I'd forget?" The cafe erupted. People gasped. Chairs scraped backward, and Emily felt the air thicken with uncertainty. Everything was chaos. Her mind reeled as she tried to grasp what this meant. Jack had secrets, layered like a Russian doll. Lies stacked high that were threatening to topple. "Wait," Emily said, voice trembling. "What's going on?" But again, just as fast, the room spun back to chaos. The woman advanced, and Jack stumbled back, eyes wide, fear spilling from him like a waterfall. "Emily, But suddenly, her world shattered with the sound of the woman's hand connecting with Jack's face. A sharp crack echoing in the cafe. The room gasped collectively. Jack fell to the floor, shock mingling with pain, and in that moment, Emily's heart plunged. The truth was deeper than betrayal. It was a net of lies ensnaring them all. As Jack looked up, blood trickling from his lip, Emily realized the secret had only begun to unravel. Who was Jack really? And what had she gotten herself into? The cafe erupted into chaos. Jack stumbled back after the woman's slap, eyes wide with disbelief and pain. Emily felt her heart drop. She wanted to rush to him, but the tension in the air held her in place, a paralyzing mix of fear and confusion washing over her. The whispers grew louder, hushed accusations swirling around them like a storm. "What's going on?" she demanded, desperately seeking answers. Jack's eyes darted between her and the newcomer, panic clawing at his expression. "Stay out of this!" the woman shouted, her voice sharp and unyielding. She pointed a finger at Jack, nails painted a chipped red. "You owe me. You can't just disappear." "What do you mean? I don't understand," Emily implored. But Jack seemed lost in his own turmoil, hands trembling as he tried to collect himself. "Please, Emily," Jack gasped, desperation lacing his voice. "You don't know what she's done. I didn't take that money. I was set up." The woman stepped closer, eyes blazing. "You were at the heart of it. You lied and cheated, and I'm not letting you go that easily." Jack looked like he might crumble. "I tried to make it right. I swear." But before he could explain, the door swung open once more, this time with a force that knocked it against the wall. A tall man, cloaked in a long trench coat, burst into the cafe. His eyes scanned the room, landing on Jack with an intensity that made everyone shrink back. "Jack, you need to come with me, now!" Fear etched into Jack's face. "No, not you!" His voice broke, echoing with terror. Emily felt the ground shift beneath her. Who were these people? What had Jack gotten himself racked up in? "Listen to me," the newcomer continued, voice low and urgent. "It's not just about money anymore. They're coming for you, and they won't stop until you're gone." "What?" Emily felt dizzy, confusion twisting her stomach into knots. Jack's world was collapsing around him, and suddenly, she was part of it. A deep breath stilled her thoughts, but the tension only seemed to seep deeper into the very fabric of her being. But Jack's focus remained glued to the man. "I can't leave, I can't!" he shouted, panic rising like a tidal wave. The woman who had struck him was now visibly shaken, stepping back, tension in her frame shifting to fear. Without warning, the man shoved his way through the crowd, and abruptly, the lights overhead flickered. A mounting dread hung in the air, like a dark cloud ready to burst. "Now, Jack!" he urged, desperation driving his tone. And then came the noise. A loud crash echoed from outside. The cafe patrons gasped, and it drew the attention of everyone toward the window. The commotion grew. A vehicle had screeched to a halt just outside, tires screeching against the pavement, metal grinding. Jack turned, eyes wide. "No, no, it can't be!" Suddenly, the windows shattered as dark silhouettes surged through, shouting, "Get down!" Panic rippled through the crowd as chaos erupted. Emily's heart raced. The world turned upside down. Jack grabbed her arm, yanking her toward the back, his face a mask of fear. "We need to go, now!" But as they moved, Emily looked back. The woman, the one who knew him, had tears streaming down her face as she pointed toward the entrance, green eyes wild with dread. "You don't know who he is!" she screamed. "Jack is—" Then a deafening bang exploded, drowning her out. The cafe plunged into confusion as people screamed and rushed toward the exit. In the moment of chaos, as adrenaline surged through her veins, something clicked. The man in the trench coat, the woman's warning, Jack's. Frantic desperation. None of this added up. They were all out for blood. Jack was hiding something. But what? The truth was about to engulf them all, and Emily could feel it, wrapping around her, tighter and tighter, ready to reveal the greatest twist of all. Just then, a familiar face broke through the panic. It was her assistant, Anna, eyes wide in horror. "Emily, you need to get out. They're after you too." Emily's heart dropped. What did she mean? Why was she being dragged into this web of darkness? Who could she even trust? And then, under the chaos, a final voice cut through. "Emily," Jack shouted, panic drenching his tone. "You need to listen. I never meant for any of this to happen." But the shadows encroached, and with each heartbeat, the truth slipped further away from her grasp. Everything that felt solid was about to shatter. The cafe erupted into chaos. Jack stumbled back after the woman's slap, eyes wide with disbelief and pain. Emily felt her heart drop. She wanted to rush to him, but the tension in the air held her in place. A paralyzing mix of fear and confusion washing over her. The whispers grew louder, hushed accusations swirling around them like a storm. "What's going on?" she demanded, desperately seeking answers. Jack's eyes darted between her and the newcomer, panic clawing at his expression. "Stay out of this," the woman shouted, her voice sharp and unyielding. She pointed a finger at Jack, nails painted a chipped red. "You owe me. You can't just disappear." "What do you mean? I don't understand," Emily implored. But Jack seemed lost in his own turmoil, hands trembling as he tried to collect himself. "Please, Emily," Jack gasped, desperation lacing his voice. "You don't know what she's done. I didn't take that money. I was set up." The woman stepped closer, eyes blazing. "You were at the heart of it. You lied and cheated, and I'm not letting you go that easily." Jack looked like he might crumble. "I tried to make it right, I swear." But before he could explain, the door swung open once more, this time with a force that knocked it against the wall. A tall man, cloaked in a long trench coat, burst into the cafe. His eyes scanned the room, landing on Jack with an intensity that made everyone shrink back. "Jack, you need to come with me, now!" Fear etched into Jack's face. "No, not you!" His voice broke, echoing with terror. Emily felt the ground shift beneath her. Who were these people? What had Jack gotten himself wrapped up in? "Listen to me," The newcomer continued, voice low and urgent. It's not just about money anymore. They're coming for you, and they won't stop until you're gone. What? Emily felt dizzy, confusion twisting her stomach into knots. Jack's world was collapsing around him, and suddenly, she was part of it. A deep breath stilled her thoughts, but the tension only seemed to seep deeper into the very fabric of her being. But Jack's focus remained glued to the man. I can't leave. I can't, he shouted, panic rising like a tidal wave. The woman who had struck him was now visibly shaken, stepping back, tension in her frame shifting to fear. Without warning, a man shoved his way through the crowd, and abruptly the lights overhead flickered. A mounting dread hung in the air, like a dark cloud ready to burst. Now, Jack, he urged, desperation driving his tone. And then came the noise. A loud crash echoed from outside. The cafe patrons gasped, and it drew the attention of everyone toward the window. The commotion grew. A vehicle had screeched to a halt just outside, tires screeching against the pavement, metal grinding. Jack turned, eyes wide. No, it can't be! Suddenly, the window shattered as dark silhouettes surged through, shouting, "Get down!" Panic rippled through the crowd as chaos erupted. Emily's heart raced. The world turned upside down. Jack grabbed her arm, yanking her toward the back, his face a mask of fear. "We need to go, now!" But as they moved, Emily looked back. The woman, the one who knew him, had tears streaming down her face as she pointed toward the entrance. Green eyes, wild with dread. "You don't know who he is," she screamed. "Jack is—" Then a deafening bang exploded, drowning her out. The cafe plunged into confusion as people screamed and rushed toward the exit. In the moment of chaos, as adrenaline surged through her veins, something clicked. The man in the trench coat, the woman's warning, Jack's frantic desperation, none of this added up. They were all out for blood. Jack was hiding something, but what? The truth was about to engulf them all, and Emily could feel it wrapping around her, tighter and tighter, ready to reveal the greatest twist of all. Just then, a familiar face broke through the panic. It was her assistant, Anna, eyes wide in horror. "Emily, you need to get out! They're after you too!" Emily's heart dropped. What did she mean? Why was she being dragged into this web of darkness? Who could she even trust? And then, under the chaos, a final voice cut through. "Emily!" Jack shouted, panic drenching his tone. "You need to listen! I never meant for any of this to happen!" But the shadows encroached, and with each heartbeat, the truth slipped further, away from her grasp. Everything that felt solid was about to shatter. Then, something unbelievable happened. In the midst of the noise, a figure burst through the cafe door. It was a woman, but not just any woman. It was Emily's mother, who had died years ago. Her presence was startling, a ghost brought back to life. She seemed more alive than ever, eyes strong, voice piercing through the clamor. "Emily, listen!" the woman cried out, her tone filled with urgency. Emily's heart stopped. "Mom?" Her cheeks felt wet, tears streaming down, confusion and disbelief flooding her senses. The whole cafe froze. Jack's eyes went wide. The trench-coated man staggered back. The woman's gaze pierced through the chaos, locking onto Jack. "You don't know what you're involved in," she boomed, her voice fierce. "None of you do." Shockwaves rippled through the room. Who was this? Was she really her mother? The woman told secrets only someone who had been there could know. Details buried in years of grief. "Jack is tied to everything," her mother continued, voice trembling with anger and resolve. "He's involved in something far bigger than you realize." The walls of Emily's reality began to cave in. Jack was not just a man caught up in a lie. He was part of something deeper than she had ever fathomed. Emily's mind raced. The truth was spinning away from her, intertwining with threads she thought were forever severed. What did it all mean? Could she trust her mother? And what had that meant for Jack? As her mind swirled with questions, the cafe seemed to pulse with tension. Could anyone truly trust anyone anymore? With one shocking revelation, Jack's world and Emily's were forever altered. As silence fell over the room like a heavy blanket, she felt the ground shift beneath her. "Mom, what have you gotten me into?" she whispered, breathless, terrified of the answer she might receive. Emily's heart raced, caught in a whirlwind of disbelief. Her mother, alive and standing there? It felt unreal. The chaos of the cafe faded into a dull roar. Jack looked stricken, fear in his eyes, caught between the past and the present. "Mom, is it really you?" Emily gasped, tears blurring her vision. The sound of the world melted into nothingness. Her heart ached with the sight of her mother. So vibrant and fierce! "Emily, you have to listen!" her mother urged, stepping closer to the chaos. "This isn't just about Jack. It's about everything, our family, your future." Every word cut deep. Emily felt a lump form in her throat. What family? What future? Memories of warmth clashed with the icy reality of the present. Jack stood frozen, trapped in a moment of confusion. Then, suddenly, the cafe door burst open again. This time, a bombshell dropped. A group of men in dark suits stormed in, faces grim, eyes scanning frantically for Jack. The tension in the air thickened like mist, wrapping around them all. "Get him!" one of the men shouted, and the cafe erupted into chaos once more. Chairs scraped across the floor. Patrons screamed, darting for the exits. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. Fear gripped her as Jack instinctively moved closer to her. "Please, get out of here now," he yelled, urgency dripping from his voice. But here she was, glued to the spot, torn between trust and doubt. Then her mother stepped forward defiantly, eyes blazing. "You can't take him," she shouted, voice strong and reverberating with authority. "Not after everything we've been through." The men paused, clearly taken aback. Jack's expression flickered between surprise and understanding. "You know them?" he whispered, voice barely carrying over the pandemonium. "I know more than you think," her mother replied, eyes narrowing. "You're not the only one with a past." A cold wave washed over Emily's heart. What did that mean? Her mother was hiding something. Jack's eyes darted between them, confusion and fear swirling in his gaze. Then, in a lightning flash, a voice sliced through the tension. "Enough!" It was the trench-coated man pushing through the crowd. "Jack, you're coming with us. Your mother can't protect you anymore." Emily felt the ground beneath her tremble. Her mother's face paled. "No!" she shouted, stepping in front of Jack. "You can't! He's innocent!" "Is he?" The tone dripped with disdain, and Emily felt a jolt of realization, like ice water splashed across her skin. Suddenly, she wondered how much of what she knew was a lie. Jack's earlier plea echoed in her mind. "I didn't take that money." The men drew closer, pressed by urgency. But just as Emily opened her mouth to question everything, a loud crash echoed behind her. The window shattered, glass flying everywhere, and a bright light flooded the room. Instinct kicked in. She pulled Jack down beside her as shards of glass rained down. But trench-coated man fell backward, surprised, and in the chaos, a figure shrouded in darkness burst through the light. This new figure stalked through the wreckage, eyes glinting under the cafe lights. "Sir, We need to retrieve the files. Jack's features hardened. Files? What files? In that heartbeat, revelations cascaded like an avalanche. Jack had been more than an analyst. He was tied to something larger, something dangerous. As the figure pushed past, Emily could see the glimmer of a familiar logo on the man's badge. A symbol from her firm. Her life. Suddenly, everything she cherished felt so far away. Who was Jack really? Why did he have files linked to her mother? Emily, it's all true, Jack said, desperation clawing at his throat. You need to trust me. I never meant to drag you into this. But trust felt like a fragile thread, poised to snap. The cafe swirled around them in chaos. Then the trench-coated man leaned in, voice low and biting. This isn't just business, it's personal. Your mother has connections you don't even know about. Emily's world shattered with that revelation. Her mother? A conspirator? Her heart raced and panic chilled her bones. Everything had changed in a moment. What does that mean? She whispered, barely able to breathe. The man smirked, stepping back. You'll find out, soon. And with that, the world began to close in, suffocating, spinning into darkness, leaving Emily gasping for air. The room seemed to hold its breath. As Emily stood there, stunned by the strangeness of her mother being right in front of her, the tension crackled in the air. Jack was still recovering from shock, his face pale, eyes darting between the men in suits and Emily's mother. What is happening? He breathed out, barely a whisper. Then the men surged forward again, determination etched on their faces, stepping into the chaos that had taken hold of the cafe. The heavy man grinned, his voice dripping with menace. Let's not waste time. Jack has something we need, something he's been hiding. Before Emily could process what he meant, a gunshot rang out, echoing through the cafe. It was followed by the sound of glass shattering and people screaming. Panic erupted completely now. The room was spinning, people ducking and diving for cover as the men in suits drew their weapons. Emily grabbed Jack's arm. His skin felt cold, trembling under her touch. "We need to get out!" she shouted over the cacophony, but it was hard to hear anything over the chaos. Then her mother stepped forward, her gaze unwavering. "You think you can take him? You really don't know who you're dealing with." Shockwaves rippled through the crowd. Jack's eyes filled with confusion, desperation sparkling in their depths. "What do you mean?" Suddenly, Jack stumbled back, a look of horror flashing across his face. "No, Mom, please don't. You can't tell them." The weight of the moment crashed down. Emily's heart raced. "Tell them what?" she pressed, fear coiling tight in her chest. "I'm not just anyone," Jack spat, voice shaking. "I thought I could escape my past, but there's so much more than you know." Her mother's eyes widened suddenly, fear, betrayal, determination, all swirling around. "Jack, you're tied to this. You don't even see it." His breathing was fast, panic mounting. "No, I'm not who you think." Just then, the man in the trench coat lunged forward, grabbing Jack's collar. "Tell them the truth now, or I swear you'll regret it." Tension thickened. Emily felt like she was suffocating under the weight of their words, all the pieces colliding in her mind. What truth? Then, from the back of the cafe, the entrance burst open again. A woman stumbled in, gasping for breath, eyes darting around desperately. "Help! They're after me too!" Jack's expression morphed into something unreadable. "No, not you!" The cafe gasped as recognition swept through the crowd. Emily's breath hitched. The new arrival looked shockingly similar to Jack. "Mom, what are you doing here?" The shock escalated. Her mother's eyes widened, jaw dropped. "You can't be serious!" she cried out, realization crashing down. "Now you're both here. This makes things easier. The trench-coated man smirked. 2 birds, 1 stone. Emily's world tilted. Jack and this woman shared something deeper. What is going on? Her heart felt like it was going to explode. Before they could respond, a sudden explosion rocked the cafe. The windows imploded inward, sending people flying across the room. The blast threw everyone into a frenzy, screams echoing, dust and debris filling the air. Emily felt a deep fear wash over her. This wasn't just about Jack anymore. Her safety, everything she believed, was about to unravel. She grasped Jack's hand tightly. "We have to go, now!" But as they turned to run, something unbelievable happened. A swirl of smoke filled the air, shrouding everything in darkness. The noise of chaos was replaced by an eerie silence, as if the world had just stopped. Then, a soft voice broke through the haze, like a whisper in the dark. "You thought you could escape your fate?" A figure emerged from the smoke. Jack froze, terror etched on his face. No, it can't be. Emily squinted, trying to see through the dust. The figure took a step forward, revealing a familiar face, one she'd almost forgotten. A face she'd only seen in old photographs and faded memories. "I'm back," the figure said, a chilling smile revealing every hidden secret that had festered underneath. "Dad?" Emily gasped, bewildered, as the world around them shattered into a million pieces. Everything she thought she knew now hung by a thread. The darkness closing in with every breath. Emily's heart was racing, confusion tightening its grip around her chest. Her father, here in the cafe, claiming to be back, felt unreal. Jack's expression flickered between disbelief and raw anguish. The cafe was swirling with chaos, but all her focus was on the man standing defiantly in front of them. "Dad? Emily, listen to me," he said, his voice low but urgent. "I've done everything to protect you." Jack's face twisted. "Protect her? You've put her in danger." "No!" Emily shouted, panic creeping into her voice. "What are you saying? You're not making any sense." The trench-coated man stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. "You don't understand the risk he poses, the connections he has." Another explosion rocked the cafe, sending a shudder through everyone. Jack grabbed Emily's hand, squeezing tightly. "We need to go, now!" But her father, no, she couldn't wrap her head around it. "Why should I trust you? You left us! You left me!" Her voice cracked, feelings of betrayal swirling inside. "I had to, for your safety," he pleaded, his eyes gleaming with a mix of fear and determination. "I was in too deep. It was the only way." As people shrieked and scattered, confusion broke through the crowd. Emily felt the pounding of her heart drown out everything else. The weight of their world pressed heavily. She wanted to believe him, but the lies were like thorns, digging deeper. The truth was buried under layers of deception. "Emily," Jack's voice cut through her haze. "We can't stay here. They won't stop." Then came a shrilling scream from behind. Emily turned to see the woman who had stormed in earlier, now face to face with the trench-coated man. "You think you can control everything?" she yelled, fury radiating from her. "You think you can use my son?" "What do you mean, your son?" Jack's eyes widened. That single sentence hung in the air like a thunderclap. It crashed through the chaos, silencing everything for a brief moment. Jack's breath hitched. "Wait, what?" Emily glanced between them, pieces shifting. "What's happening?" But before anyone answered, her father took a step forward. "No, Emily, you don't understand. He's in even deeper trouble than we thought. They want him for more than just his past." Suddenly, the cafe door burst open once again. The air filled with smoke, a thick, suffocating cloud that rolled in like a wave. People started to cough and shout, covering their mouths, backing away from the entrance. Amidst the panic, a group of masked figures surged inside, their intentions clear and menacing as they brandished weapons. "Get down," one shouted, pushing through the crowd, merging chaos into a single horrifying focus. Jack tugged Emily away, but the realization hit her. She wasn't just caught between Jack and her dad. The danger surrounded her now. "Who are they?" she rasped, eyes wide as the masked figures advanced, their intentions dark and unclear. Her father gripped her arm, firm but desperate. "We need to stick together. This can't end like this." Suddenly, a loud shot cracked through the air as a figure stumbled backward. In that moment of pure shock, Emily froze as she faced the gunman, mask drawn tight, eyes cold and calculating. "Enough!" the gunman's voice rang out, and Jack's eyes darted around, scanning for an escape. Overhead, the sound of shattering glass filled the cafe as the atmosphere turned suffocating and electric. Just then, time slowed. The hidden connections seemed to unravel. "You're not just chasing after Jack," she realized. "You want us all." Jack's face paled, as if all the blood had drained out. "What do you mean?" he asked, trembling. "What's really going on here?" Then the gunman smirked, lowering his weapon as he spoke. "Isn't that obvious? It's about the legacy." Emily's heart dropped as she pieced it together. Jack's voice, barely a whisper, cut through the noise. "You are supposed to be dead." With that, everything changed. The true nature of their entanglements exploded like shrapnel, ripping through the facade they had built. The depth of betrayal, the tangled history, it hit hard, wrenching every certainty away. The cafe spun into madness as the masked figures advanced. A tidal wave of chaos closing in, threatening to swallow them whole. Emily knew she had to decide. Who could she trust? Who was friend or foe? Their grim faces and hidden agendas blurred together, and just like that, everything she thought she knew about her life, her family, and even Jack hung by a thread, poised to unravel further into the unraveling chaos. Emily felt the weight of the moment crash down. The masked figures moved closer, weapons raised. Tension thick and suffocating. Jack looked at her, desperation etched across his face. "Emily, please trust me," he urged, his breath quickening. "Why should I?" she shot back, feeling her heart race. "Why should I trust anyone in this room?" Her father's eyes darted between them, urgency filling his voice. "There's so much at stake here, Emily. You have to understand. They want to control everything, control you." The cafe was chaos, people scrambling for safety. Every heartbeat pounded in her ears. Jack's grip tightened on her hand. "It doesn't matter what they want. We need to get out." The trench-coated man stepped forward, smirk still plastered on his face. "No one is leaving until Jack tells the truth. You've made your choices, Jack. Now you must face the consequences." The words hung heavy in the air. Emily's thoughts swirled. Jack was in deeper than she realized. But as her father shot a fiery glare at the man, her instinct kicked in. "We need to band together, or we won't make it." Then, the sound of glass breaking distracted them. It was her mother, still at the entrance, fiercely holding a fallen bar stool like a shield. "Get away from my family!" she shouted. The masked men hesitated, their focus now split. "Mom, what are you doing?" Jack shouted, panic evident. "No, we're not through yet," one of the men growled, taking a step toward her. But that gave Emily the opening she needed. She seized Jack's arm, pulling him away from the chaos. "We have to go, now!" As they dashed through the revolving door, the smoky air stung her lungs. Outside, the street was a frenzy of people, but at least it felt safer than that cafe. "Where do we go?" she gasped. Jack turned, eyes blazing. "I can't let them follow. We need to find out what they want with us." Her throat tightened. "How? We barely made it out." "I have a plan." His voice was resolute. "I know a place we can go. A safe house." Before she could respond, a noise erupted behind them. The heavy footsteps of pursuers drawing closer. The tension was palpable as Jack grabbed her hand again, pulling her toward an alley. They squeezed between two buildings, hidden from view. Emily's heart raced, a mixture of fear and adrenaline coursing through her. "Do you think we lost them?" Jack leaned against the wall, panting, but his eyes held determination. "They'll stop at nothing to find us. But this isn't the end. I swear it." At that moment, they heard voices echoing in the alley. The men were close. Too close. "We need to split up," Jack said suddenly. "Head south. I'll distract them." "No," Emily argued, but he silenced her with a fierce look. "You have to trust me. It's our only chance." Tears pricked her eyes. "You can't just throw yourself into danger. I won't let you." But before Jack could respond, a loud crash rang out from the entrance they had just escaped. "Go!" he shouted, pushing her gently. "You can do this. I'll find you." Panic surged within her, but she couldn't stall any longer. With a final, desperate look, she sprinted down the alley. As she ran, uncertainty gnawed at her insides. Would she see Jack again? What if he didn't make it? But she had to keep moving, keep hoping. She dashed into the night, heart pounding, thoughts swirling. Then a sudden warmth enveloped her as she stumbled upon a group of civilians responding to the chaos. "Ma'am, are you okay?" a man asked, concern flooding his expression. "It's Jack," she gasped, fear flooding her voice. "They're coming for us. We need help." The man nodded, urgency in his eyes. "We'll protect you. Don't worry." As she turned to look back, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Jack was fighting. She could feel it. They would find each other again. She couldn't let fear win. Yet deep down, a whisper nagged at her. This wasn't over. The truth about their past, their families' histories, and the chaos bound to unravel was looming just out of reach. With that lingering uncertainty, she knew they had a fight ahead, a fight for truth, a fight for safety. The night was far from over. Now, before you go, this is the moment to show your support. Hit that subscribe button immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories we're about to drop. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this amazing community. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What's going to happen next? And don't wait one more second. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know about this epic conclusion. Stay right here and don't leave just yet. Click on the next thrilling story at the end of this video. You won't want to miss it.